But I do think it's our responsibility as an industry to take one for the team and bring on apprentices. We have no
Agreed.
choice. We can't be the special favored golden child who doesn't take on apprentices because it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not appropriate. Then don't complain,
Right. Why are
because
you in
we
the
all have to
business?
take on as many young people as we can or we'll burn out.
What is going on, L&M family? Back again. This time, maybe not just this time, but we have a super awesome guest. She is the founder and CEO of Boost Learning Design. And the super magical, awesome thing, or maybe the connection between me, my heart, and our guest today is that she works with construction companies and trade unions that are growing faster than they keep up, which I do the same thing, but I'm not that clear about it. And the magical thing that she is doing, that if you're out there in our industry, we absolutely need to do better, do gooder about, is attracting people, training them, and then creating structures for sustainable retention. And that is her expertise. Her name is Manja Horner, and we're going to get to learn all kinds of stuff from her. Now, if this is your first time here, you're listening to the Learnings and Missteps podcast, where you get to see amazing human beings just like you chart the path to how they are leaving this world better than they found it. My name's Jesse, your selfish servant, and we are about to get to know Miss Manja. Miss Manja, good morning. How are you?
Hello, thank you for that warm welcome. And what a great bio. Did you write that or did I?
I think it was a collaboration. You sent me some stuff, and then, of course, I got to muddy it up, but I'm
Well,
glad that you
thank you.
liked it. So, I want to reiterate your commitment, the work that you're doing to serve the construction industries, and specifically the time that you're putting in with trades is something I super appreciate. Some people have asked me, like, why do you interview people that are competitors? I'm like, bro, because I can't fix everything. We need a
No, we
bunch
can't
of
fix
people out
everything.
there to do this work, and you're out there doing it. So thank you so much for doing that. And I hope you continue to do it and grow and thrive because our industry needs it. Now,
Yeah, we're a little fractured and we have to work together a lot more than we have been because we're in a bit of a pickle and it's going to take a lot of us working together to get through and out.
so this pickle, are you talking about the massive exodus of baby boomers from our industry?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 1 in 4 retirement. And I'm a Canadian, but I work with companies all around North America. So I'm seeing and researching and staying on top of everything going on in the US and in Canada as it pertains to skilled labor and the workforce in general. So we're in I call it my 15-year plan to help solve this challenge in the time that I have that I want to dedicate to the industry and to work before I maybe think about what's next in my life. But it's a big job and we do have to work together on it.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing, I started my career in the trades back in 1995, right after I got out of high school. And the specific reason I said, oh, maybe I should stay here and make a career of this because I'm going to make a lot of money in the future was because of the projections back then. Like just in the state of Texas, the average age of a journeyman plumber was like 46. And I'm in the apprenticeship program, like doing the orientation. I look around, 30 guys of my class, first year apprentices, they were all like 30 ish. I
Yeah.
was 18. I'm like, man, I'm going to make some money. And so back then the projections were it was just going to get bleaker. Fast forward now, what are we 30 years later? Don't tell
30
anybody.
years later, and it's even more bleak because apparently nobody's done anything about it or not enough, which I don't really quite understand why. And I have to say, I spent a bunch of time researching this because I've written a book and it comes out in a couple of weeks. And I spent 2 chapters just going back into history and going, how did we get in this mess? What were the drivers? What
Okay.
were the social factors? What was going on culturally, politically? What was happening from the podiums? And
Yep.
where was the money flowing? I'm
Yeah.
like a follow the money sort of gal. So I looked into that and Everybody was getting pushed into more of the IT, the
Mhm.
knowledge service worker. Like they were saying, we want knowledge workers and we want everyone in tech. And they pushed everyone through college and university instead of highlighting the trades as also an appropriate and really needed career path and work stream for people. It comes from a variety of ways. You can read more in depth, like the research that I found in my book. I don't know. I think it's quite interesting, but we can't just keep blaming and
Right.
complaining. We're actually at a point where it's quite critical that those of us in positions to do something, and that's anybody who's leading and owning a company or anybody who's leading in a union. These are the people that have the opportunity to do something because we're the hirers, the
Yes.
hirers.
I love
Yeah.
it. Oh my God. Okay, so first, before it gets lost, is it too early to announce the title of your book?
Oh no, we can announce it. It's called Pass the Torch, a
Cool.
rallying call to rescue the future of trades.
I love it.
Put a lot of work into that title, and even the book cover itself is a torch. It's a flare, I should say,
Oh,
because a flare is a distress signal. So I wanted it a distress signal and call people through this rallying call to take some action.
yeah. So again, I'm going to gush on you a little bit because what I love about the work you're doing is it just seems to have happened here in the last 2 or 3 years where all of a sudden, or maybe it's just the people I'm connected to on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
whatever, but all of a sudden the social feeds are all about attracting the next generation.
It's your social feed. It's the people you're following for sure. But
Yeah,
I'm noticing that too. And I'm glad that there's more conversation happening.
yeah, no, I think it's valuable. However, most of those people have no idea of the next step or what it
Mm,
feels like or how to, okay, let's get them in, but how the hell do we keep them? Because having been in the industry since, like I said, 1995, that is the biggest differentiator in the organizations that I serve. And I get to travel all over the US helping general contractors, subcontractors, et cetera. And the difference isn't attraction. They all have their little mechanisms and competitive salary and benefits. But from my observation, the difference is how they treat their people and how they invest in their people is what determines whether people stay with them. And so I'm wondering in your research, did that, so obviously you have a business built on it, but in the research as it pertains to the book, did that pop up in a significant way?
absolutely. It definitely did. And what I've created is a framework around what does it take to keep people. And I
Ooh.
call my talent flywheel. We use this with our
Ooh.
clients. But the key to building a team, once you get people in, you're now building a team, building a crew. And so there's a few things that have to happen. It starts from day one on the job.
Ooh.
So your onboarding really matters a lot. That actually statistically will retain people longer if you have a good onboarding experience. The
Okay.
second is the supervisors, managers, and leaders. You have to have well trained, capable supervisors, managers, leaders, because most people leave the leadership, not
Yep.
necessarily the company.
Agreed.
You need to have very clear expectations and standards and low tolerance for crap coming from the field, coming from supervisors. So, as a leader, the guy running the company or the woman running the company, you have to set expectations, set the standards, and hold people to it. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, people actually do like boundaries.
Yes.
Part of the supervisor skill set that has to be developed is also the ability to give great feedback. The next generation wants to hear what they're doing well and where they can do better. They're actually pretty open in a lot of ways to
Yep.
that kind of conversation. So, giving your supervisors and developing the skill set to talk to people well, clearly, and is important because the Gen Z or the Alpha, they're not interested in getting yelled at. Like they grew up a lot softer, and it's not a bad thing. It's
No,
not
not
like,
at all.
oh, I'm so tough, I get yelled at, I can handle it. That doesn't give you a badge. Good for you. So there are a few things when you're building a team, and I can take it a step further. If you really want to retain people long term, you have to provide training so they always feel like they're advancing. That's one of the boomer complaints about the young people is they don't like the fact that they're so hungry for running the company within 3 years. I'm like, that is a sign that they actually care, and give them the training, show them the
Yes.
career pathways, give them advancement, and
Yes.
hold a vision in your company that's big enough to hold their personal vision.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to stick around if they don't see an opportunity to grow and make a difference and be part of something that matters. And actually, that really matters to Gen Z workers. So, my framework, and if I could show a visual, I mean, I have it and we can always link it maybe.
Yeah.
But it's important because if you want to recruit, build, grow your team, and then really build your company brand, so you're the kind of company that people are clamoring to work for, you have to offer certain things. And at the hub of that is leadership. You have to make the kind of decisions that will impact your business in the way that you're creating these kind of frameworks and culture. So that was a bit of a lengthy description, but happy to
No,
share that image because I do believe
yes.
and I break this down in the book as well. So I did include that image in all the description.
I love it. So, yes, let's make sure we have a link so people can go and download that thing because I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of really forward thinking leaders out there, people centered leaders that are working to figure it out because it's
Yeah.
not easy, right? Sure, onboarding, feedback, career pathways, leadership. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are all big projects.
We're going to do the L&M family member shout out. And this one goes to Mr. Rusty Chambers, who took the time to leave a little review on the Google because now I've got Google reviews, which is super fancy. Rusty says, good and energetic. It makes you think about how good you can be to everyone else if you spend a little time on you. Which, Rusty, I'm super happy that message made it through. And folks, if you're wondering what he's talking about, he was one of the victims, recent victims in the time management for construction workshop, where we're trying to figure out how you can better prioritize yourself so that you can better serve the people you care about. Folks, you already know I love attention, the reviews, the shares, the thumbs up, the stars, all of the above. Please feed them to me because one, it makes me feel good, but two, it gives me an opportunity to shout you out in a future episode. Exactly. There's a whole lot like behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
mental models, all these
Yeah.
things that need nurturing and sustainability. So one thing, there's three things I want to get into now. We talked about onboarding, talked about feedback. You said a bunch of stuff, but the things that are pinging in my head is onboarding, feedback, and career pathways. So let me start with career pathways, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And this is more me just sharing my opinion, and I want you to slap me if I'm wrong or gauge the strength of your slap based on how wrong I am. How's that, Manya?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll try to get my virtual slap ready.
I love it. So I've been on multiple teams and I get to see a lot like you get to see behind the curtains when we go in and serve the people that we serve. And luckily, a lot of the folks that I work with do have career pathways, right? Like they have a map of this is step one, step two, step three, step four. That's in my head, that's pretty basic. And that's easy because you're just saying all,
You're giving job titles, right? You're giving roles.
yes. The next layer I've seen, not so much, is qualification, CDQs, career qualification. Like these are the things the skills that you need to build and excel at in order to prep you for the next role or to say, I'm killing it here. I'm ready for more to take the next thing, right? Which is, I think, a lot better, right? Because it's not
Really
just
good. Yep.
titles. It's not just subjective interpretation. It's, no, these are the things. Now, where I see the break at, is okay, you got the pathway, you've got the CDQs. What are the behaviors and the systems that facilitate the development of those career defining qualifications? So the question then is, do you see that as a weak point, or maybe it's part of the services that you provide to help people? Okay, let's define it, map it, But now what are you going to do organizationally to facilitate your people actually walking the ladder?
Yeah. So the answer is yes, we do that as a service. But let's talk a little bit about the things that take it from a paper based career path with some standards or some qualifications that are needed. And then what's the next level? So, one, let's just talk about the leadership support. Everything happens when leaders are on board. So,
Yes.
that's for sure important. You need to have leaders who buy into the idea of career progression, and they need to be having career conversations annually, semi-annually. Hey, where do you see yourself going? What would you love to be able to accomplish within our company? We see you and we think you're, awesome. You show up, you do the things. What do you want? So that's when I mentioned you need to have a vision in your company that's big enough to hold the personal visions of the people who work for you. I've heard everything from, I really want to be able to drop my kid off to school. Okay, how can we maybe delay your start time, but you're going to be working later? Or can we do 4 12 hours instead of whatever? Okay, you get to now brainstorm some solutions to retain that great person and help facilitate the vision for their life. So that's just a small example. One may be, I need to be able to earn an extra $15,000 next year. What's that going to look like? Let's look at some pathways for you. Maybe it's a new role with more responsibility. Maybe it's overtime. Maybe it's, I don't know, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
Maybe they're taking on some training because they're really awesome and you want to use them in some different ways on a Saturday to do training.
Yes.
Get creative. But it starts with the conversation. So leaders need to have, you need to provide your leaders with the structure so they can have those kind of conversations. And also, the second piece of that is a mechanism for viewing and managing performance, not as a corny performance management tool, but as a really structured, hey, here's what you've done really well this year. Here's what I think we could see you improve on. And in that conversation, you get to look ahead at the year and go, here's how we're going to help you develop the skills that are going to take you to that next role. So it's a bit of planning.
Oh, yeah.
It's having the conversations, and then it's having the quarterly or semi-annual touch points so that you didn't tell them something and then you forgot or never followed through.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one system.
I've done it wrong so many times, Manja.
That's okay. We all have.
Oh, okay. So I want to describe a leader, and I'd like to know if you give them 1 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, or just thumbs down. Now, for a period of time, back when I had a real job, there was a period of time where I was training unofficially, like me and the guys would meet at the bar or at lunch or whatever, and I was showing them how I planned my work and how I interpreted the budget and whatever. Eventually, that turned into my job, which was amazing. And so the first leader said, okay, because I was going to leave the company, right? Similar to, I'm like, hey, look, I paid off all my debt. I was a superintendent at the time for mechanical contractor. And I'm like, man, I discovered that if I stayed in that job, sure, the money was fantastic, but I was never going to be able to serve the way I really wanted to serve and help my people, my team, my friends. And so I said, I need to find work that's more fulfilling because I was sick and tired of the meetings and the budgets and the arguments because they were all the same all the time. Anyways, fast forward, they said, okay, no, we don't want you to leave. I was going to go take a job with the school district for $11. And it was like a, man, 80% pay cut, whatever it was. And they said, what are you doing? What if we just let you be a full-time trainer? And I said, okay, what do you want me to train? They said, the thing that you're doing, just make it official. Okay, fine. So we blah, blah, blah. We start doing it. The leader at the time said, I'm going to send an email to all the foremen, superintendents, and project managers. This was specifically for foremen. And you're going to put a schedule together for the training, and I'm going to make it mandatory. So he sent the email and said, mandatory, foremen need to be in this, and we broke it up. So 2 questions. That action of him sending the mandatory email, are you thumbs up, thumbs down on it? And the second question is, what do you think actually happened?
Wow. Okay. I don't know. I think thumbs up is okay, depending on the culture already of what training, like depending on the culture of training at the organization already. So when I say that, what is the leadership attitude towards training? Is everything really authoritarian? Was there a lot of options for training and people were invited? I don't know the culture of training or the attitude
Fair.
toward it. I think that should impact my thumbs up or thumbs down. I hate to be wishy-washy, but if it was on a whim and it wasn't supporting all those foremen, either their performance or what the business needed to change, then it's not great. One thing that we often consider with our clients is, what is the business impact to this training? Like, why are you trying to do it? You got to start with a reason.
Yep.
It can't just be a knee-jerk reaction. So
Yep.
what are you trying to improve? What kind of skills are you trying to develop? Or are you trying to get everybody online aligned with a certain behavior or message or habit? And then in that case, that's your call as a leader. You're going to say, hey, everybody, we're doing this training for this reason, and we're going to pay you to be there, and we want everyone to be there, and make it a thing. Nobody loves to have to do something by force. So you'll get better buy-in if you can establish the why. What's in it for them?
Excellent answer. What happened was
Yeah, so I was going to say that leads to the what happened. You probably did not have buy-in.
we did not have buy-in, and attendance was sparse because the idea was for the foreman to leave the job early, a day or two a week, to be at the office to go through the training. It magically, every day we had training, we had emergencies on the job site and inspections and deliveries. And so the
Yeah.
superintendents and the PMs were the ones telling the foreman, like, no, just go to the next one, just go to the next one. And so it was less than awesome. We'll just say that. The leader tried, high five for trying, but it was weak
Yeah.
sauce.
It's okay. High five for trying. But if you've never rolled out a whole bunch of training initiatives, then you're going to just do it a quick and dirty way.
Yes, totally. So then fast forward a year or two, new leader comes in. He says, all right, Jess, I know you've been doing this training thing. We're going to make it official. We're going to make it during the day, on the clock, half a day for 8 weeks. The guys are going to get paid. They're going to come off the job. And I'm laughing like, yeah, that's cute, man. He's like, what do you, I said, look, bro, this is how it's been going. And I gave him the scenario I just described. He's, oh, that's easy. I'm going to roll this out and have my conversations with the with the superintendents, with the project managers, and make it ultra clear the reason we're doing this. Da, 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 da. There was some runway of him having these conversations, helping people understand, like, this is why we're doing it. The margin loss that we're losing was largely due to a lack of planning and being in a hyper reactive state. And so blah, blah, blah. He did the front end work. And then he said, okay, now what I need from you, Jess, is I need a list of whoever misses your class. And I said, man, I'm not going to do that. Like, they're my friends. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be tattled. He's saying, no, I don't care about the guy that didn't make it to class. I want the name of their superintendent and project manager. And I said, oh, he said, yeah, because I'm going to go have a talk with them because they need to make them available for this training. And if they can't let go of a foreman for half a day and cover for half a day, either that foreman is underpaid or those PM and superintendent are slacking and they need some different kind of attention.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. If everything falls apart because somebody's not there for 4 hours, that's not great.
Yeah. And guess what? It was amazing. People showed up at the end of the year. Our financial performance was dramatically better. And of course, there were other things that happened, but the primary thing from my perspective was he got involved in the communication and made it super, super clear. Leaders, superintendent, project managers, this is not an option. You got to find a way to get your people in the training because those two parties were the ones complaining about the foreman being underskilled. It's like you're complaining about them, but you're not creating the conditions for them to upskill. Here's the deal.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. And it is important. We talk about our learning ecosystem and the 5 components of the learning ecosystem that are important to note.
Okay.
I'm just pulling them up because my brain doesn't always.
I'm with you, sister.
So the first is the attitude, what we just talked about. Like, what's the culture of learning or the attitude towards it? Is it like, there's a course, but just don't bother? So that's like the attitude that's driven from the top. The second piece of the learning ecosystem is the course is the training strategy. So what is the overall strategy? Why are we doing it? What are we trying to train? What kind of levers are we trying to pull so that we can move this company in a certain direction? Because at
Yes.
the end of the day, training is there to support the goals of the business, not just the goals of the government or Department of Labor or health and safety compliance. It's there
100%.
also to support everybody's growth so that you can operate better as a company as a whole and operate better together. So that's important, is like, what is the overall strategy? Because you don't just want to start chucking random courses at people. You need to have a bit of a game plan.
Yep.
And then the next layer is your content and your courses. And that's where in my book, I talk a lot about the knowledge capture, because we are losing such a lot of deep expertise from these retiring people. And it's a shame. We
Yep.
don't want to actually lose all that. And if it hasn't been documented or videoed or captured, it's a labor intensive process, but we recommend a bunch of different ways in our knowledge capture engine.
Yeah.
And that turns into information that you can then build training on.
Yes.
So your content and courses is key, and that all ties in to your training strategy, which ties into your career pathways.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's who are your trainers and what's your technology that's going to deliver this information to people, because it can be done in video repositories. You can have checklists, you can have operating procedures and processes written down. You can have trainers that come in and your own trainers that deliver. There's lots of ways, and AI is just making that even more
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then I include always another layer, which is the skill practice. I will stand on a soapbox forever and ever and say training is not knowledge dumping. Training, that's like a little piece, but the skill development, and we're in the skilled trades, so it's even more
Yes.
so important. And I'll give you a little background on why I stand so heavily on skill being the most crucial piece. I actually was a violin teacher in my early career. From about 16 to my early 30s, I taught violin, and I have actually a music teaching degree as well, so I can teach in high school if I want and all those things. I never did, but I can.
Yeah.
So with music practice, you're actually just trying to develop skill in every student. So there's a lot that I take from developing musicians that I bring to the developing skilled trades and craftsmen, because it's the same principles that apply. So there's a bunch about my methodology, which it doesn't belong to me, but I call it deliberate practice.
Yep.
So when you're building training, you want to make opportunities for especially your young people to deliberately practice core skills in those first few years. And it's not just like giving them exposure once on the job and then 3 months later again and hoping they've recalled. It's actually tied to brain science. Like, you've got to give repetition. So there's a whole bunch of rules around deliberate practice, but those 5 pieces are the elements of that learning ecosystem. And then your people are the beneficiaries and they're the participants in
Yes.
it. And so they matter a lot. You've got to make sure that everything is appropriate for your people, their age, their generation, whether they're on the job and you've made accommodations for them to step away to do the training. You've actually carved out time in their work week so that they can
Yes.
do the practice on the job in the corner on scraps before they come and do it on the real materials. And there's a lot to it. And I get that what I'm saying is, holy shit, Manja, we don't have time for this. I know. That's why you're all leaving it behind. So that's really, I think, the benefit of working with people like you, Jesse, or like with our company, because we help take that stuff off your plate. You're not trying to do legal. You're not trying to do your bookkeeping, or I hope. There's certain aspects of the business that at a certain size, you got to start out.
Yes. Oh,
It's time.
100%. I've got one of my clients who happens to be the boss I was talking about earlier that came in and said, "You're going to do this 4 hours." I support him at the new company he's working at. And he's like, "Jess, one of the things I love about you," and I'm thinking I'm going to get a compliment. He's like, "If revenue goes to the crapper, I could just cut you."
Oh,
I'm
man.
like, "But I like business wise, he doesn't have
Yeah.
to carry me and in terms of cost to the business. He doesn't have to
Sure.
carry my insurance and my benefits
No,
and
no, no.
all of that. When things tighten up, he can stop the spend and they can continue executing on their core work until things get better. And so I think it's an added benefit for two things. Like I'll say this, short view is like, okay, I don't have to hire this dummy and put them on payroll. At whatever point we could just terminate the contract or terminate the services and let them move on. That's good. The other thing, like you said, is trying to build a learning and development team within the organization is very expensive.
Yeah, and that's more for when you're in the hundreds to 1,000 employees.
Yes,
When
agreed.
you're in the low quantity,
Yeah,
you're going to patch things together, and then you're going to get to a point where it's hard to manage and you might want to outsource. And we have jumped on this bandwagon of calling ourselves fractional.
oh, yeah.
That whole thing where you hire a fractional CMO or a fractional CFO. We're a fractional HR team. So we have several people in the company that do the fractional HR. So they help with the hiring and the recruiting and the interviewing and the senior stuff, like how do we terminate well and document properly and compensation packages and all that HR stuff that you start to realize, oh, I actually don't know that. And I'm using my lawyer a little too frequently and it's costing me a lot. So
Yep.
the fractional HR side is cool. And it's really smart if you're in that 25 employee
Yep.
to maybe 120 employee. And then you get to a point where, you really should hire some internal HR. But then on the L&D side, so the learning and development or your training department, that's the other cool thing is the fractional training is neat because we can help with the strategy and what software should we use and can you make us the courses and can you come on site and capture the video? Yes and yes, because I've got a team of 6 people that do all that stuff behind the scenes to get you a finished product. And it's a lot if you have to hire that yourself and piece all that together. It's and we have 7 apprenticeship program builds this year.
Nice.
That is a huge amount of bits and pieces.
That's a lot.
Of bits and pieces. My head is scrambled just thinking about it. Thankfully, I have good team and project managers because that's a lot of bits and pieces.
Yeah. And there's a amount of administrative work associated with maintaining a DOL approved, Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program that I thought we're going to do this in-house. And then when I started digging into it, I'm like, no, we're not. This is too much work. Like just the administrative part was like.
This is where I think companies are falling flat and where we have to keep encouraging and promoting, because although it's a pain to have to handle apprenticeships, the paperwork, all of that stuff, and what if I invest all this time and energy and then they leave?
Yeah.
Or what if I can only provide half of the skill set and training of the apprenticeship and then they have to go somewhere else? There's a lot of that, but I do think it's our responsibility as an industry to take one for the team and bring on apprentices. We have no choice. We can't be the special favored golden child who doesn't take on apprentices because it's inconvenient. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not appropriate. Then don't complain.
Right. Why are you in the business? We all
have to take on as many young people as we can or we'll burn out.
100%. So you mentioned the violin, and I know you're serving the trades now, skilled trade. What's the connection? How did you go from violin, music, education to what you're doing now? Was it a pathway a career pathway somebody put in front of you that you said, that's what I'm going to do?
No, I think it's interesting. So I grew up in a family business of construction and restoration. So my dad started his company in 1990. He had learned carpentry and framing and custom home building.
Nice.
Started his own business in 1990 because my older sister was sick. So he had to spend some time, probably about 8 months with her in the hospital. And she's fine now. She's a mom, kids, so she recovered. But that was a tough bit for our family. So he started his business, and I grew up at the dinner table hearing about all the clients and all the challenges with the government and all the regulations, the financial stuff. I heard all of that at the dinner table. I'm one of 5 kids, so he had all of us working for him at different times. We were all in the shop from the time we could stand smelling the shavings and working with the tools and having our own little ear protection. I think we probably lost more hammers and saws than he would care to admit,
Yeah.
because we built everything as kids. We took all the stuff, built forts. And so we were always tinkering, dabbling. But then in our teens, we actually started being part of official crews. So I had a
Mm.
chance to work for about 4 to 5 summers. I was going back to recall all the projects I had done.
Yeah.
We did a lot of restoration work. So historic buildings, designated heritage sites. He ended up becoming recognized in Canada as a major wood consultant for heritage
Okay.
buildings. So I had a lot of that kind of exposure on the sites, learning alongside European craftsmen and really masters of the trade in restoration techniques. So I've done everything from glazing hundreds of sash and case windows with old glass, cutting the glass, putty glazing, a lot of paint restoration, woodwork like spindle turning on the lathe,
Wow.
and replica parts. I got to do a lot of really neat stuff in the restoration side. So I call myself a tradesperson because I can do a lot of cool shit,
Yeah.
and it's quite specific. This is the funny thing. I was a girl and I was really smart in school. So my pathway was actually, I had a full academic scholarship to my undergrad degree. So that was just the way that my career went. It was
Yep.
like, you are really good grades. I was a good student. Yes, I had all this cool stuff on the side, but it was never, hey, do you want to take over the family business?
Right.
That wasn't even a thing. I also have two brothers. So one actually has
Of
taken
course.
over the business,
Yep.
and my other brother's an engineer. So they went more in that route. But yeah, I ended up in business degrees, education degrees. And so I had a professional career in curriculum development and
Ah.
corporate training. So it was about 9 years ago when I was walking with my dad down a street. We had just had lunch and we were looking ahead, and there was this heritage building, a really prominent one, and there was just a cloud of red brick dust billowing everywhere.
Yeah.
So these guys were grinding the lead paint off of the brick. And I was like, what the actual F are these guys doing? Like,
Yep.
you just knew it wasn't the right method for removing the paint.
Right.
And I said to my dad, okay, we got to do something. We got to do something about this, because there's so many companies that have untrained workers.
Yep.
They don't know the methods that are appropriate. At this time, I was referring to heritage buildings
Sure.
specifically. And I was like, Dad, you're the guy. You're one of the subject matter experts in the country on this. We should do something. That kind of started the ball rolling in trades-based training. And now that's all I do. And that's the mission that I'm working towards, is capturing this knowledge from senior people before they go,
Love it.
transferring that knowledge to the next generation through the best training, and
Yep.
helping companies grow by helping them recruit, retain, and train people so that they can all be efficient. Like, I get what it takes to run a company of 25 people, how hard that can be, and the kind of mindset you need to have as that leader and owner. I've got I think a really special seat at the table, because
Yes.
I get to solve not only the company owner's growth goals,
Yep.
but also I get to help the next generation worker do their best. So
Yeah.
I get to kill two really awesome birds with one stone. I love it.
I'm with you, and that's part of my struggle. One beautiful story. I love the connection and the weave of starting off with your dad, and then
Yeah.
university, because of course that's what everybody's supposed to do. And then you're like, okay, I had this skill set, I acquired this other skill set and insight, and then how about I mash them together? I know
Yeah.
that's an
And
older.
then the skill development piece from 15 or so years of music training
Yeah.
and teaching. You learn how to become a great coach and trainer and skill person, right?
Yes.
Because you have to. You can't play the instrument for your students. You have to help them use that tool to create something great. And we're in the exact same position now. It's just different tools.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my! So what I want the L&M family member out there to take away is keep an open mind, right? Observe and watch what's going on, because sometimes it feels, or it could feel, that the skill set you developed early on through university or whatever, you may not be using it. It may feel like it's pigeonholed into one sector or one area. But over years, decades, I'll say, you start discovering that, man, these skills are transferable. Like coaching somebody on how to play the violin, that skill set of getting people to elevate in their performance is a transferable skill. Like you just said it beautifully. The violin was a tool then, now we're using different tools. Same thing to education or curriculum design. Like it all can be woven together to provide greater value to folks. And I say that, Manja, because I know some people that are like, yeah, but this is the degree I have and this is all I really know. I'm like, okay, let's look at what other circles
Yeah,
you've been
what else in
in.
your life or world or your experiences? Military experience,
Yep.
first responder, sports. Well, there's a lot of people who exit some of those careers because they're high burnout and kind of more for young.
Right.
And then you get to what's my next thing. I think it's a really awesome transition into skilled trades because you bring a lot of that team culture and you have to have each other's backs in the trades. You have to know you can rely on each other. So there's a lot of really cool
Yes.
synergies depending on where you come from. And I had a really neat, no, I had a moment young. I was maybe in my early 20s and I was listening to a guest speaker and he was the head of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment in Toronto. He
Yep.
runs the Maple Leafs.
Wow.
He runs all the concert venue. He runs the big, at the time it was called the Sky Dome, like with all of the sports, like tons of teams, the Raptors, the Blue Jays, like tons of teams, right? So he was responsible for running this. He was the president of this organization. And I asked him a question. I said, and I was 22. I said, how did you become qualified for this job? Very naive question. And he said, that is such an excellent question. He said, once I ran a restaurant and once I owned a sports team and once I ran a this and once I ran a that. And he said, and guess what? Now I run all of those at once. And I thought, thank you for being generous and not thinking I'm a total, but it's true. And so I've always kept that thought in mind. Like you're just on a journey collecting experiences and skill sets that one day are all going to mix together into something totally unique. And you have no idea how that will look. And that's okay.
Oh, I love that. One, the question, right? Like, how do you become qualified to do that? There's no credential for that. I get similar, like, what sort of certifications and trainings did you get to do the business you're doing now? If you didn't know this, they'll let any damn fool start a business and start a podcast. Like, you don't need a certificate.
No, you get to just do it. And you've got all these like ridiculous guys on YouTube. My favorite is like Handyman Riz. I just made that up. But you've got all these randos on YouTube making content. How about you? If you're such an expert in your thing, why don't you make content?
Easy.
How about you train the next gen?
Easy.
Like you need 2 cameras and a mic. Let's go.
Simple.
So why not you?
I'm with you. There you go. Manja said, L&M family member, why not you? We got to see that stuff coming out. Oh, I'm loving this conversation. Okay. I'm curious. Do you see this happen out there? What I see often, very high frequency, is when organizations talk about onboarding, what they're really describing is how to get somebody into the company, give them their laptop and their hard hat and their PP, like just give them the things that they need that are relevant to being an employee with the company. It's almost never relative to their specific role. And in my head, there's 2 layers. There's onboarding, like the corporate company onboarding, and then there's positional onboarding. Am I getting that wrong? Time out. Because if you're anything like most leaders I talk to, your schedule is ultra packed. But somehow the most important things get neglected. And that most important thing is you. You're juggling projects, people, deadlines, and meetings. And somewhere in there, your own priorities get pushed aside. They get on the someday list. That's exactly why I created the Self-First framework. It's a simple system designed to help leaders create space in their schedule to focus on the most important and impactful things and execute consistently without burning out. I put together a free live training where I break down how the framework works and how you can start applying it like right now. So if you're curious, there's a link in the show notes where you can check it out. All right, let's get back to the episode.
You're right. So there's actually a few stages. So let's think about it as the pre-boarding. That's what we talked about. So like from the you're hired, you signed a contract to your first day, that I would consider pre-boarding. So that's, we've got your send me all of your health and safety certifications and send me all of your licenses. And oh, by the way, what size are you? Because we're going to have PPE for you. And don't forget your work boots. So that's your pre-boarding. That's all the stuff that happens before they get to work. And then onboarding starts, I'd say orientation is a few days in that first week. And that's like, how great can you make their orientation? I challenge you to make it great because, you know, the first day when you go somewhere and you're showing up and you're a little bit nervous, you're a bit hesitant because everything's new. You don't know, is this the right door? Can I park here or is someone going to yell at me? Where do I hang my shit up? Where's the bathroom? Do we make our own coffee or bring our own coffee? There's all these questions culturally that you don't want to get wrong because you don't want to look like an idiot.
Yep.
So that kind of stuff is actually, you can set a lot of those expectations. So somebody's first day, they show up and feel really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a whole lot. You could make a video. You could have a checklist, like anything. You want them leaving that first day, going home to their significant other or their mom or whoever, and they say, hey, how was your first day? And they go, that was awesome. I'm really excited to work here. I think I made the right choice. Because don't forget, they have a lot of choice right now.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you're not God's gift to them as much as you think you are.
Right.
Okay, there's choice. So that first week of orientation to this is the company and hey, you're going to be using this equipment and here's your logins and keys and whatever, all that good stuff. That's all important. Here's your vision and mission of the company and here's our policies. You got to sign off. So there's all that sort of stuff. But then there's okay, here's your role. Here's your first 30 days. Here's your first 60 days. Here's your first 90 days, what we expect for things we want you to hit, milestones we want you to hit in those first 3 months. Here's your mentor. Here's who you're going to be checking in with. We're going to be meeting with you every 2 weeks for a one-on-one, and we're going to check in how things are going, give you feedback. Like you got to have a structure for this.
Yes.
So I do have a little freebie. If anyone wants, they can download on my website. We've got an onboarding checklist. And it's generic, but it's a good launching point. If you don't have at least this stuff, get that in place before you start making it super jazzy. But
I love it.
You can go to my website and download that. There's like a free resources section.
Good. And what's the website?
Oh, good question. It's Boost. Stands for Boost Learning Design.
.com. I love it. I love that you're just giving people tools to like, hey.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff there. Like, take it. I'm firing it out as fast as we can package it up and make it look cute with a web page attached to it. That's a whole thing.
I know so many skills I've had to learn starting my dang business.
Know.
Jeez. Which
none of my business degree prepared me for any of this running a business thing, especially with the online components.
The online components it's awesome. It's like a wonderland because I like to learn. But
yeah,
geez,
but it's a lot. And now AI is just throwing us all for a loop because we're like, oh no, agents and automation and oh dear.
Oh yeah, I'm still holding the line. Like I'm playing with AI. I'm enamored with agents, but right now it's a question of like brain space.
What? I know. I'm sitting in a 2-hour training this afternoon so I can learn it. Like I'm every week on this stuff because, hey, we've all got to stay current and learn. None of us can just hang up our hat and go, yep, I know it all. It's just not going to happen. And
no,
I don't know. I think that's the exciting thing about doing this work and running a business. I'm constantly learning.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So you mentioned choice, which I'm going to tie this to feedback, meaning employees have choice. And then if we scope it down to construction,
Yeah.
like craft workers, construction professionals have massive amount of choice if they just wanted to stay within the industry.
Yeah.
And I love what you said earlier is employer, you're not the answer. You're not as valuable, essential as you like to believe, or maybe more accurately, as you used to be.
Yeah, you're all fishing for the same talent. You're all fishing for the best talent from a shrinking pond.
Yes.
Like the stock's getting depleted. And actually maybe the pond is actually growing, but the stock is depleting. That's the problem.
No, I think you nailed it. The pond it's growing, but the stock is thinning. Like it's happening
Yeah.
concurrently.
Yeah, and you got to put the shiniest freaking bait in there, and you got to satisfy that fish. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe I'm taking the analogy too far, but
No, I'm digging it. I smell what you're cooking. Now, the other thing that ties into the newer generations is the choice isn't just working for a construction company. When I was coming up, the way to get a job was to go to a fast food restaurant or a company, ask for an application, fill out the application, and hope that they called me at
yeah,
my home phone, my landline, because I didn't have a cell phone back then. Fast forward to now, and we talked a little bit about AI. There's teenagers making $1 million businesses using AI, right?
I know.
We can make money selling pictures of our feet on the internet from the house.
Yeah.
So I may not make six figures. My feet may not be that attractive, but I'll tell you what, $40,000 a year sitting at home wearing whatever I want beats $60,000 a year working for somebody that isn't going to give me feedback, isn't going to help develop me, and is going to scream and yell at me every chance they get. Am I too sensitive, Manya?
No, and I made a sound like shoot because I don't know how we compete with that 100%. I think what we're competing for is just the really solid people who still appreciate a productive day's work.
Sure.
But you're right. We have to provide an environment that feels like fun and a team and engaging. And it's not all fun. I remember whole summers sweating my ass off in a Tyvek suit
Oh, God,
and just being
yes.
like, this sucks. And then like other years where I would have no fingerprints at all on my hand and I couldn't have cute nails because I just was sanding
Right.
bleakly all summer, like the same thing. It's not always great, but I didn't stay there forever. And I
Right.
learned enough to now have written a fucking book about it. That's cool.
Uh,
But like, how does that happen? So I'm hoping we can just create great workplaces where people feel like they're really glad to show up and it feels like a satisfying day's work. And to be honest, I think as fake as this world is getting, people are starting to crave more reality,
yes.
truthfully.
Yes.
I'm shocked that if you provide the opportunities for people, they will choose to go for a hike or a walk or go to the beach or paddleboard, learn how to sew or make something or create an item.
Yep.
There's a whole culture shifting where people are doing more tactical meditative activity. And I'm hoping that translates to work as well, because otherwise we're going to have to train the robots real fast.
I'm not opposed to robots because there's a lot of work out there in the trades that damages our bodies
I know.
severely.
Yeah,
And
I
we
know.
need to robotize all of that. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff like, wait a minute, they don't need to do everything. Let's just minimize the risk to the human being.
Yeah.
Now, I'm with you. Like, I believe, rather, I credit my career as an installer, as a plumber coming up back in the 90s. That's where I built the skill set to build my business. Now, I'm not talking about reading P&L statements and all of that. But what I'm talking about is as I was a first year apprentice, I got a pile of material, random parts. I had a piece of paper that kind of d- articulated what it was supposed to look like and how it was supposed to work. And then I had tools. And so I just had to figure out how to take the material and the information and assemble them in such a way that it was of utility. And those repetitions of just doing that, like you said earlier, tinkering and figuring out how to make the connections and make something durable that was of utility. When I started my business, I had no idea what I just knew. I was like, I'm just going to try to figure out how to start a business. And
Yeah.
what do I need to
Yeah,
learn?
it gives you like the kind of planning and repetition, resilience,
Yep.
and like building businesses is hard because you're always feeling like you're out of your element.
Yep.
And so you just have to keep going and figuring it out. And that idea of being able to tinker and figure out is
Yep.
just as important in the trades as it is in any business, actually.
Yes.
Oh man, I find it really hard right now. I'm parenting. I've got 3 kids,
Oh.
13, 11, and 6.
Woo.
And there's so much where I'm just like, Mom, help me. And I holler back, figure it out. And then
Yes.
they holler back, but I already tried. I'm like, not long enough. Keep going.
Yes.
And I'm like, and then they're like, why? And I said, if I rescue you every 2 seconds, you're never going to be able to figure out how to figure shit out. So, like,
Yes.
oh my goodness. We have
Amen.
to, I think a lot of it, actually, the responsibility, when I say the rallying call is for leaders in the trades, I think it's also for parents in general. Please
Oh, amen.
give your kids a chance to
To make
try
it up.
and fall and fail. This morning, I gave my son feedback. He does this sport called parkour. I don't know if you do this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he does parkour, and I like watching. I think it's fun. He's
It's
in the
cool
gym for
looking. Yeah.
45 minutes, and I watch. So he's up in the ceiling, like walking along these pipes, and they're playing this game where they have to chuck these squishy blocks at their buddies and hit them, and that's part like some warm up game.
Right.
So I don't mind watching him like walk on this pipe. He's basically tightrope walking, holding on to a super skinny amount of pipe. It's an inch pipe.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he's going hand over hand and running along this pipe hand over hand. And I'm just thinking, please keep one hand on there. There's no tie offs. And he's 7 years old, 6 years old.
Oh,
So then I see him circle back. He's got a block in his hand. So he's hand over handing with his wrist, like holding the block in his hand so he can go out and then chuck the block at his buddy. So I'm watching on the side going, oh my goodness, this is not going to feel good watching him fall. I'm going to,
yeah.
yeah, this is bad. So this morning I'm like, hey, son, I got to give you some feedback on your parkour. Can you just like only do that pipe thing if you've got 2 hands free? Mom, I'm fine. I'm like, no, just come on, just listen. Anyways, I don't know what the moral of that story was, but I think it's just give them a chance,
Well,
let them take the risks, correct when you need to, but like
yes.
we got to give young kids a chance to figure it out.
100%. And I think I'm going to tie that back. This was back in the day, we launched an internship program that introduced high school kids. Like we put them to work in the field. I did all my homework, y'all. Don't judge me, to make sure that we were in alignment with child labor laws and DOL and OSHA and all the things. And so they
Yep.
were under 18, but they were working on the job
Yeah.
site with
Sure.
tools
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything. Like
Well,
it's
I did that too. I probably wasn't quite legally allowed, but we, the 90s, things were different. It's fine.
right. The interesting thing was there were two situations. One, we had a young lady. She was phenomenal. She was 16 years old. It was her summer between her junior and senior year. And I paired her up with one foreman, right? That we had to have a sponsor, and she was like,
Yeah.
that person was responsible for guiding her and blah, blah, blah. He didn't let her do anything. And she called me. She's, hey, Jess, you told me to call you if I'm having a problem. I'm like, oh my God, please tell me the guys are not being disrespectful. And she says, no, it's fine. Like they're fun, but they're not letting me work. And I said, what do you mean they're not? They're not letting me do anything. They're showing me and talking to me about it, but I want to do it and they don't let me. So I called the guys up. I said, what's going on, man? And it was interesting. It was a blind spot. What he says, Jess, I have a 16-year-old daughter and I am terrified. All I could see is my little girl and I'm worried about her getting hurt. And I was like, okay, we got to switch. But to your point, we have to give them the space to learn.
Yeah.
The argument I had all the time with when we were launching the idea was, I don't get paid to babysit. I no time to babysit. What if they get hurt? What if they cut their finger? And I'm like, man, we got 45-year-old dummies getting hurt and cutting their
Getting
fingers.
hurt.
Like,
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
an age thing.
In fact, they're probably going to be more careful. And this is the aspect of retaining this young generation that matters
Yes.
because they're not going to be satisfied with pushing a broom for 3 years or
No way.
carrying heavy stuff or pushing a wheelbarrow. They're used to holding the controls
Yep.
and doing the thing. And that's what they want. Our biggest complaint is that they want to progress in their career too fast. Let's make the conditions so that they can progress
Yeah.
fast. I actually have this method of skill development that I don't want to get into too much tactics, but I'll give you an example.
Okay.
It's for a company, if they want to build skill in somebody new, apprentice or non, doesn't matter if they're a compulsory or non-compulsory. Let's just say we want them to become a framer.
Yeah.
All right. In the first 50 weeks, so let's say you've got your employee for about 50 weeks, they're off 2 weeks vacation. I help them create a 50-week skill stacking plan.
Ah.
And so each week they're working on a base or next level skill. And this is not tied to a formal apprenticeship necessarily.
Right.
Although you could take a formal
Sure.
apprenticeship with the skill tracking log and you could break that out into a week by week just so you don't miss anything. But it's actually a guide on site. So week 1 could be, let's just say, measuring accurately.
Right.
So you're going to give that, there might be 3 examples of exercises for that new person to just practice measuring. And it may
Yes.
sound really dorky, but if you can drill skills in a small time period, you'll actually get them to leap much faster.
Yes.
So I take it to music and we can take it to sports. If you want a student to be able to play a song, you don't make them play the song a million times. Isolate the 6 skills and you make them do those skills over and over until now all of a sudden the song gets learned in a really short amount of time. So it's take soccer, football, whatever you call it. You're not going to just hope that they nail the corner kick. No, you're going to drill the corner kick until they're an
Yes.
awesome corner kicker.
Yes.
You're going to isolate the overhead throw and you're going to nail that. So it's no different in the trades. So I've got this 50-week skill stacking plan that the on-site coordinator, whoever they are, is going to help the newbies execute. All right, you got an hour. It's the end of the day. We're cleaning up or we're planning. You're just over there doing your skill development exercises and watch the skills stack. And young people freaking love stacking skills. Love badges. They love gamification. You hit 10 skills and you cash in for a gift card. Frick,
Right.
make it fun, man. You know?
Totally. And so the feedback thing, right? And this is for the younglings out there that are maybe interested. I tell people, when people ask me, like, what should I look for, especially with like educators that I'm connected with? I'm like, look, what I've seen work really well is students that are in extracurricular activities because they got to be at school earlier and later than their friends, and they do it voluntarily. Also, because they have to work with other people towards a common goal. Huge. The second thing I want is a student. I don't want the straight A students because I've run that. It didn't work out because they don't want to be wrong. So they need to be told precisely what right is. And if they don't, they won't make a decision. I need the kids that are a pain in the ass.
That are willing to take some risks and
Yes.
see what happens. And they're not afraid of
Yes, man.
failure.
Percent, right? And they're not afraid to figure things out and go down a path that is a least common path. I need those kids. And the ones that have so much damn energy in the classroom that they seem like they don't care, but it's not that they don't care. It's just the classroom learning style is not good for them.
Yeah.
Now, how do I know that? Because I was one of those kids, Manja. And when I got out on the job site, what kept me engaged was the feedback loop. It was instant feedback on whether I was getting better or not. I could see, am I performing average or am I doing better than I could just look at the amount of pipe that I put up at somebody else and, I'm beating them. Feedback loop. At lunchtime, I could turn around and look at what I installed, like the fruits of my labor. And it was that feedback loop and the conditions of being on a job site that absolutely captured my mind and my energy and everything else. And so that's, I
Oh,
think,
that's so cool. I've never heard it spoken quite like that, but I think that's really, you've dialed it in.
yeah, yeah, it was. So let's go another layer, right? My problem in school was the pace at which things went. I wanted to
Hmm.
apply and do, and there was lecture, and then there was fill out the paper and be quiet and stand in line. I'm like, okay, I already got it. I'm not going to do my homework. I'm not going to practice something that I already know how to do. This is dumb. All of the behaviors that got me in trouble in school were a non-issue on the job site. I'm
Yeah,
loud.
funny, eh?
Yeah, like it was, nobody cared.
And I actually had a bit of a weird education too. Like, I remember I mentioned that my sister was sick. So because
Yes.
she was sick, she had cancer, she was in the hospital for like almost a year. My
Ouch.
mom homeschooled a few of the rest of us.
Uh-huh.
So we started homeschooling back when like only really weirdos and
Yeah.
hippies homeschooled. Like it was
Yeah.
not the trend like it is now.
Yep.
So I had this opportunity to homeschool initially and I loved it.
Yeah.
When I went to public school, I was like, this is weird and boring. And then I homeschooled again, did some private,
Yep.
grades 7 and 8. So middle school, I homeschooled and I got to do it at my own pace. So I actually helped my dad set up his business on QuickBooks.
Nice.
That was one of my big projects. Set
Uh-huh.
up a construction company on QuickBooks and I did loads of data entry.
Wow.
And I also got my Royal Conservatory. That's like the standard for music here in Canada. I got my grade 8. So that allowed me to teach music.
Wow.
So I did that in my middle school. And I
Yeah.
did some books, like I did curriculum books, but it was all at my own pace. So then I went to public high school and I went, what the heck? I was so far ahead and I thought, we have to sit here for 6 hours and do this bullshit. So I
Yep.
was actually like a great, like a super top earning student with marks,
Yeah.
but I skipped like all the smokers. Like I was the worst. I got, you know, how the like vice principal comes to the door and it's all the skippers from the day before.
Yeah.
I would be called with all the pot smokers. And everybody looks at me like, you're getting in trouble. And I'd walk out. And it's funny because I did musical theater with the vice
Oh,
principal. So
nice.
she'd be like, why were you out? And I'm like, student government, volunteering. She's fine, but please get a note.
Yeah.
You're embarrassing me. But yeah, like I just couldn't handle the fact that I'm sitting there for hours on end
Yes.
doing random stuff. Anyways, I was like a top mark student, but I was actually a really shitty student. It wasn't
Yeah.
until I got out of that and did what I wanted to study in university that I gave a crap. But oh man, it was hard doing high school. Really
Oh.
hard.
And I think that is not said enough. Maybe I need to do a better job of helping like parents and educators understand if your student, if this classroom's not going fast enough for them. I know traditional thinking is you need to put them in an AP class or interbaccalaureate class. No,
No.
you're missing the point. It's the conditions in which the traditional education, academia, has designed for learning does not suit everybody. it,
No, and we could do a whole session on that
yeah.
because one of my degrees is actually a high school teacher. I
Ah,
have a high school music and accounting degree. Never wanted to teach in high school, but I think the old high school model is going to change.
oh, it's
I
going
don't
to
think
happen
it's going to
now
be
for them.
around over the
Yeah.
next 10 years, honestly.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can't sustain it. And like they're not keeping up with AI, they're not keeping
Nothing.
up with the trades needed. It's like, why are they sitting there? It's such a waste of time. That's a whole other.
Yeah,
That's a whole other
uh,
and very opinionated piece. So you may not want to highlight that because I can get
oh
very
no, I'm
opinionated
fine
on
with it.
education.
People have asked me like, why are you against university and college? I'm not. What I'm against is forcing kids down a path that does not serve them.
I'm against mismatch.
Yes, a mismatch.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
You know, my daughter, my middle one, wants to be a veterinarian. So I'm like, okay, girl, we're going to aim you towards get through high school, do your science basic thing that you have to get at a cheap school, get some experience talking with people. She already does apprenticeship because my sister's a vet. So she's already out every summer from the age of 11,
Yep.
putting down horses and holding them while they're getting their teeth done. Like she's already out there seeing the job and knowing she likes it. So I'm not worried about her. Actually, she'll do a great job in vet school because she's had so many years of exposure.
Experience. Yep.
Then my other one, I'm like, yeah, you don't need to do university. It's not the path you want to do. So waste your time.
Yes, no, 100. I applaud you for having that perspective. And for the parents and educators out there, if you got a kid, I'll just say this. We all learn under different conditions. The job site for me, the noise, the physicality, the competition, the camaraderie were the conditions that I didn't know that I learned. That's where I thrive. Uh,
Yeah.
Sitting down, keeping my hands to myself, and staying quiet that is the worst torture you can ever put me in. So if you got
Yep.
that kid, construction or the trades is probably a good spot to experiment with. I'm not saying they're going to like it, but they may find out like, whoa, okay, I need more of this. And it's, I think, healthier when we're not in the mismatch, like you said, when we're not in the mismatch, I think we're set up to become better versions of ourselves, period. And so I'm going to avoid the risk of going into the other podcast episode about education and the design. So are you ready for the final Grand Slam question, Miss Manya?
Lay it on me. I'm
All right.
ready.
I'm excited because about what your answer is going to be, because the breadth of experience you have, it's highly evident that your processing power is super high level. Playing violin, teaching violin, and helping me not sound like a dummy with your very thoughtful and rich responses. I'm like, oh man, this is good. So I think your question is going to be pretty deep. Your answer is going to be pretty deep. So here's the question: what is the promise you are intended to be?
What is the promise?
Yes.
I don't know if I understand your question. So try
Okay.
again. What is the promise that I'm intended to be? I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
Okay, I'll give you some context.
Okay, please.
I was in rehab the last time I was in rehab, and one of the counselors there said, Jesse, you don't have a problem admitting that you're an addict or an alcoholic. He said, your problem is you haven't accepted. And I said, what are we doing playing freaking word games here? He said, no. He said, what you haven't accepted is that if you continue to live life the way you're living it, you will never become the promise you are intended to be. And I said, and in that moment, I knew exactly what he was talking about, right? All the potential, the ideas, the aspirations that I had that I suppressed and put away because I wasn't good enough, because I wasn't ready, all the disappointment that I saw in the eyes of the people that I cared about was me missing, like deviating from that promise. Does that help?
It does. Thank you for that. I love your example. Wow. I am not sure. I know that I'm meant for big things, but I think what I've always hesitated to do is label it because I feel like I would cap my potential. So I have been really working hard at, and like this is literally through therapy and things, just think way freaking bigger than I ever thought before. And I'm starting to see God respond and open doors that I'm like, I always thought that would be cool, but I never really knew what that would look like. And now I'm getting phone calls from people who want to make that thing happen. And I'm like, OMG. Like I was just explaining to my husband the other day some new thing, and it's a group of partners, and we're going and doing this big project. And he's what? And I'm like, that's always been an idea, a vision, but I didn't know how to make it happen. And now this is a God moment. So
Yep.
I don't even know exactly how far what my legacy will be, but I certainly know it's going to be in helping people be the best versions of themselves. And I hope that's not corny or cliche. I'm always pushing people around me to say, you can do more, you can do bigger. Like you're thinking too small. And it's because there's other people who've said that to me. You're thinking too small. And so I'm always appreciative of that. But I think a lot of the legacy too, like obviously I've mentioned God. I am a very spiritual person. And I think it's limitless.
Yeah.
So who knows what this planet's going to look like in 30 years, but I know that I just want to be a guiding light for people if I can. And I like to look back behind me in my journey and pull people along and hopefully accelerate them a little faster. Goodness gracious, it's a big question, but I'm excited because all of a sudden I feel like I've freed my brain up to think bigger. And this book is It's intimidating to write a book and put it out there. I have to tell you, I had to do some deep work to actually feel comfortable with having a book out there because it
Ah.
exposes you to criticism the
Oh,
second
yeah.
people start reading it. And man, that can be hard, especially I think as a performing musician and, you know, a good A student. Like that can put you in a position where you're not so good with criticism.
Yes.
I've had auditions that fell flat and people commenting, and you just think, oh no, that was my best. And it
Oh, yeah.
wasn't good enough. And so
Yes.
you can just feel inadequate a lot. So that doesn't go away just because you get older. I had to really pull my shit together and go, hey, this is a book that's a voice that's needed. It's one opinion in a sea of opinions. And I'm really curious now to hear what people think. But be nice when you leave me a review. And I want to hear from you. So connect on LinkedIn. That's where I'm growing my community. I don't know. I'm not trying to wrap it up, but just, yeah, connect. I want to hear from your listeners and see what they think.
Absolutely. We'll make sure your profile is in the show notes, and once we get it released, the clips and everything else.
Yeah.
Amazing. Did you have fun?
I had fun. I'm so appreciative that you and I were able to meet through LinkedIn, have a great chat, do this recording. This is just the start.
Agreed. Before you go, I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. Your time and attention mean a ton, and it's because of listeners like you that this podcast even exists. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to the Learnings and Missteps podcast so you never miss an episode, and you get extra credit if you share it with your friends. Also, if you want even more insights on leadership, personal growth, communication, all those fancy magical things, you can sign up for my newsletter on LinkedIn because I got a newsletter that goes out every single Monday. All the resources I share there are designed to help you put yourself first so that you can leave this world better than you found it. There's also a digital copy of my book, Becoming the Promise You're Intended to Be. And it's sitting there waiting for you on my website. All you got to do is do the click and do the download, and you get the free PDF. And if you want even more bonus points, share that PDF with somebody you know or the family of somebody you know that is currently struggling with self-destructive behavior. That would be the ultimate gift for me. While you're there, do some exploring of the trainings, workshops, and services that are designed to enhance your performance at home and at work. Just click the link in the show notes to check it out. Thanks again for listening. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace!